All right, we're recording. Let's dance, y'all.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Winner's Circle. We are here with Natalie Higby, who I'm super excited to chat with. And the goal for this podcast is to bring you guys people who are going for their win in the real world. And what going for your win means is basically just listening to your calling and following your passion, no matter how hard it is, because a lot of the time it's harder to do than just the typical traditional career model, but it's so much more fulfilling, and it is possible to do if you listen to your heart, and the universe will have things fall into place for you. So I'm super excited to learn more about Natalie and her journey. So let's get right into it.
Right on. So, Taha, I'm so excited to introduce you to Natalie Higby. I was talking to you a bit about her before, and I met Natalie 3-4 years ago at On It, where she's a coach, and now the head women's coach there, in addition to being the co-founder of the Durable Athlete. So yeah, I met Natalie training there, do different certifications there. She is actually a huge contributor in my Hero Project initiative, my school-based initiative. She was a supporter, her and Carmen Morgan from day one, both former teachers. And I don't know where that initiative would be without them. So thank you so much for that, Natalie. I think the world of Natalie, so much respect and admiration. I was telling Taiha that two of the people I love most in this world are my two nieces. And if they grew up to be like Natalie Higby, I'd be so stoked. No lie.
That is the sweetest thing.
Yeah, I'd be so stoked. So yeah, welcome winners to Natalie Higby.
Wow. That made me just so happy and very humbling. It made me blush and get chills even, Derek. That's so sweet. So thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I absolutely mean it. And it's called the Winner's Circle because we want to show our listeners, the world, that winners are just like them, just like you and I. We all could be winners, and it's taking action. It's stepping forth and saying yes to the challenge, saying yes to a call. And I know you have done that for sure. And first step in saying yes to that call is knowing what your mission is. So Natalie, what is your personal mission here on this plane? What are you here to do on Earth?
Okay, so if I had to sum it up, I feel like my mission or my purpose is to help empower others to live the best life they can. So empowering them with tools to improve their mental and physical well-being. And I want people to understand that they can go for their dreams, or they can, get themselves out of pain, or they can heal themselves in some way if they turn within and they use the tools that we already have in order to be our best selves. And so again, for me, it's about getting people to understand that they can optimize their life with really simple daily habits and routines that a lot of them are even for free. And then more than that, it's about teaching people to, go after their dreams and to learn how to deal with failures and with obstacles. And I just hope to be the teacher that I am, whether I'm working with young students and young kids to elderly people and everyone kind of in between. I love people of all ages. I love working with people of all ages. And ultimately, I love sharing what I have learned over time with other people to help improve their lives.
Amazing. I loved what you said about how so many of these things you can help people implement into their lives are just small little changes, little 5-minute, 10-minute things that they can add into their lives. I read a book called The Slight Edge. I don't know if either of you have heard about it. Similar to Atomic Habits that I've heard is another really good one. But he talks about the difference between somebody being really successful and the complete opposite is just those small decisions that they make every single day. And I am a personal trainer that specializes in corrective exercise. So I know how many little things, if you spend 5 minutes a day on mobility compared to just, sitting and watching TV, it can make the world of a difference for your body. And it's also just knowing that you are taking the time to do that. It's not even just doing it. It's like knowing that you're dedicating that time to improve yourself, whether that be with just like reading a book for 5 minutes. This can be anything, but yeah, it's crazy how so many people kind of just brush off things that could completely switch the trajectory of their lives. 5 minutes a day, meditate. Like, it's not that hard, right? So that was cool.
100%. There's so many things that we have that are for free, that we can do that help improve our, like I said, I think it's, mental and physical health ultimately. And a lot of times people are searching for external things, even if it's a personal trainer, even if they're coming to me for help. Like, I want to teach them that they are capable of changing their lives on their own. And I hope that they work with me for forever, but I also hope that they, learn the tools they need, and then they can go implement it when I'm not there. And that's kind of the ultimate goal, right? Is to take these tools, pass them on, and then hopefully they continue to pass that on. And really that's at any age. One of the things that makes me sad is when people are getting older or something happens and like, oh, it's all downhill from here. I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be all downhill from here. Like, let's keep being alive and let's keep functioning at our most optimum level. And we can do that if we just put in 5 minutes here and 5 minutes here, and like just do these little things. And for some people that can be a lot because they may not be doing any of them. And so it's just about meeting people where they're at and making them feel challenged but successful, and then keep them like enjoying that process and coming back for more. Yeah,
totally.
So as a part of that process of helping your clients, I know 4 of your pillars are sleep, nutrition, breath, and movement, right? And they're a part of your win. What does going for your win mean to you, Natalie? And what does going for your win look like for you today?
Another thing that gives me chills for whatever reason, but going for your win, I think that means like going for your best self, like not selling yourself short, not letting those voices in your head that tell you can't do something win, right? It's about you believing in yourself and staying authentic to who you are, following your passion or your purpose, whatever that is. And, when we get to the end of our life, it's about looking back and thinking like, I did the best I could. I did everything I wanted to do, and not really having any regrets about that, and not letting those self-limiting beliefs get in the way. So I would just say going for your win is really just like, I want to let my light and whatever I'm here on this earth for shine through. And I'm going to do that to the best of my ability, every day. And for me, to me, winning right now, what that looks like, obviously things have changed in this period of time with COVID and the virus and quarantine and all these things. But, whether I'm working with people face to face and I am in a group class setting, or I'm working with people one-on-one, or I'm just working with people online, or even virtual workouts, it's ultimately just showing up as my best self and being, again, I'm going to use the word authentic, because I think people, we're always looking to connect with someone. So it's not about putting on this act that like I'm perfect and everything's perfect or anything like that, but like, here's what I'm working on every day, and here's why I'm working on that, and you can do this as well. And so I think, again, I'm going to go back to, for me, winning is continuing to empower others with habits that will improve their livelihood. And that goes to the 4 pillars for the durable athlete for us, which are sleep, nutrition, breath, and movement. And it's not that, like, everything is connected, right? So I'd be doing people a disservice if I said, hey, just come to me and we'll do your workout, or we'll go over your mobility, and then I'll let you go. Like, there has to be a place in there where we talk about these other things, because I know how interconnected everything is and how they all affect each other and ultimately affect these people's goals and their outcomes. And so that's why we made sure that that's the foundation that we built the durable athlete on.
Love that. You touched on limiting beliefs and being your authentic self, and showing people that you're kind of going through your own process too. A lot of the time when you're a coach for somebody or a teacher for somebody, I find that some of those coaches can try to be that perfect person, or like either the person being coached is putting that person on a pedestal, or they're putting themselves on a pedestal. And I think it's almost impossible to really, for that coach to have credibility in that way, because we're all human beings and all going through the same experience overall. And for me, I'm studying to be a life coach right now, specializing in food and body stuff, because I've dealt with eating disorders and body dysmorphia for a long time. And the biggest thing that people in this course are kind of dealing with, they're worrying that, you know, we're not totally healed with our issues yet, but that's pretty much everybody, right? No matter what you're going through, nobody has it all figured out. Nobody is like ultimately knowing everything. So I find that it's a lot easier to relate to and to believe in this person to help you if they've gone through the same thing and are continuously working on it, right? So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the limiting beliefs that you have dealt with in the past or can still deal with.
Definitely, and I'd be happy to share those. Can I share one more thing before I get into mine?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about, there's so many parallels between personal training and like teaching or coaching people, or versus when I was teaching third grade. Like, and Derek, you know, you work with kids. Like when you're teaching young kids, I'm thinking about teaching them English at this time, because in third grade, I taught all the subjects, right? I don't consider myself a very strong writer. Sometimes people will read my writing and they're like, oh, that sounds great. But for me, it's a struggle. Like, it's a long process. And so what we would do every day is whatever lesson I was going through, I would demonstrate like what my paragraph might be or what my story is about, right? And I'm doing that. And then every day I come back to that and I'm literally brainstorming out loud with my kids, and they're seeing how I'm changing things. And then I completely cross out this paragraph, and then I add this new paragraph, and the next day I have better ideas and I'm misspelling this word, but then I figure it out. Like, so that was a big lesson too, of like, you have to just put yourself out there for these people to learn from that. And again, these are young kids looking up at it. Now, if I would just start day one and I wrote the perfect paper on day one or the perfect story, what are they going to learn? They're going to think that theirs has to be perfect too. And so that was a helpful tool for myself when I look back at it, of like, just here's your rough draft, right? And then every day you come back to that and you continue to get better. And when these people are watching that and they're seeing how you're doing it, they then understand that it's okay for them to go just write down whatever's coming to their mind or to do their best that day, right? And then they can totally scratch that the next day. Maybe the next day is better than that day. Like maybe they didn't write anything that day, and that's okay. They'll come back to it. So I just think that's a like interesting parallel about putting yourself out there and letting people see when you mess up or when it's not perfect. Because again, like no one's first draft is perfect. Like we have to keep coming back to it and making those edits to make it better. Some days are better than others. And so as far as self-limiting beliefs, I have this like mantra that I have been saying for a long time. And this comes from a course I went to called Choices. And this was a while back, but at the end of it, I came up with it's basically just, I am a strong and confident woman. And I go back to that a lot because I am strong and I've always been an athlete. But with that comes, I'm like 5'10". I wear a size 12 in women's for shoes. I have big hands and I'm not small. Like I'm not a petite person. So being an athlete, you know, that's great. Like I feel like I have an athletic body, but outside of just playing sports, sometimes then I'm hard on myself because I'm like, oh, like I'm just big. Like in my mind, right? Like that's a self-limiting belief. Like I'm not as small or as trim or whatever. So that can get into my head sometimes. And I have to just really be kind to myself and realize that we're all made differently and that we all have different skill sets and that I am still beautiful the way I am. And that comes with respecting and making sure that I'm doing things that are healthy for my body too, right? Like as long as I'm doing everything I can to keep myself healthy, then there's no need in stressing about the rest. Like this is just who I am and I need to own that and accept that. And when I can love myself, then ultimately I end up thinking better thoughts about myself too, right? So I don't continue that cycle. And then confidence. I, from a young age, was very shy. I always had a lot of friends and like, I don't know, but at the same time, I was kind of like a shy kid. And, you know, doing what I do now, I do a lot of filming. And so like being on camera a lot of the time at first was very intimidating. I didn't like people watching. And I think I've just gotten in reps through teaching and through coaching. You're obviously like presenting to a group of people or on a daily basis, at least presenting to someone one-on-one. So that has helped. And so I would just say also like with that confidence and with me now being on camera, I'm so much more comfortable now than I was a year ago. And a lot of that comes with reps. So again, it's about putting yourself out there and realizing like, I have to start somewhere. And this is probably not going to be the best, but if I do it today and then I do it again tomorrow and I do it again and again, a year from now or however long, like it's going to be better. Like I guarantee you're going to get better at it and you're going to feel more comfortable. And so, yeah, I always just come back to being okay with who I am. And like, you know, that saying where it's kind of like, if you were someone else, like what would you say to that person? Or if you can shift that perspective, right? And just being nicer to myself. And then having that confidence and knowing that I have something that I want to share with the world. And in order to share that, I need to speak up and I need to put myself out there in uncomfortable positions and ultimately just continue to come back to those and get better at them, because that's how we get better, is by practicing and getting some feedback. So
definitely. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to take a moment now to celebrate some of your wins. I'll start off. I know one huge win of yours that I just recently discovered is your 4-week body weight program. So when I was just doing some research on the durableathlete.com, I saw you guys had a 4-week program. I downloaded, like it just came out. I downloaded it. I did day 1 today, and it's so good. I was telling you guys before this call, it was so sick. I don't really like online training. So during this time, I've been doing a lot of running, which I've never liked before, but I've been doing a lot of running. But I'm going to be doing the Durable Athlete for the next month. It's so, like, I love it. It's Natalie and Christian, who was our guest a couple weeks ago. And I couldn't recommend y'all check that out enough. And it's free. 4-week bodyweight program. It's such a win. So maybe tell us a bit about that. And then let's celebrate some other wins. I know you and Christian have just linked up a deal with the NBA and NBA Junior and so much other great stuff. You're on it women's group. So many celebrations, so many wins. Let's hear it. Let's share that love with this universe. Show them what's possible.
I think that's a great thing, because we often don't celebrate ourselves enough, right? So kind of being forced into it right now. But we originally put out like the 7-day mobility series that, you know, we can still share with people. But what we put out now is a free 4-week bodyweight program. And so I'm really excited about that, because it's actually giving people what I think is like enough time to really dive into this material, right? And so every day starts with a movement flow or some mobility. And then there's a body weight workout. Every day, the body weight workout is about 15 minutes or so. And so again, this whole program is about 30 minutes a day, which is great, right? Because people may not have the time to go to the gym for an hour or whatever. Obviously, again, I know right now some people's situation is different, but it's 30 minutes total. So we've got our mobility at the beginning and our movement. We have our workout, and then every day finishes with some breathing. And this might be myself or Christian taking you guys through some breathing exercises. Some days I play my sound bowl while you guys breathe, so super relaxing. And then we have certain days in there that are like build your flow days, a little more like restorative and active recovery days. And someone could use this. Honestly, we wanted to make it where if people haven't been doing anything and they want to get into working out, it would be a good place to start, because it's all body weight, right? So they can get in touch with their body first and set a good foundation. If it's someone who doesn't have any equipment at home, then they can get a good workout there, just body weight. Maybe it's someone who is looking for more things to mix into their training, or maybe a way that they can take like some recovery days if they've been hitting a program for, let's say, 12 weeks hard, right? And then now they need like a week or two of more like active recovery days. They could go through this. There's a lot of ways people can use it, and we're just really excited that it's out there now. So yeah, it's on our website. I think I just put it on my like link tree on my Instagram. People can find it there, and just stay tuned, because we will be coming out with more, but definitely recommend this one because it's free. So that's really awesome. And yeah, we just wanted to make it accessible to everyone. So body weight, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. No excuses, right? I think you guys would all be able to get that in somehow, some way. So there's that. And then, yeah, Christian and I, you know, the funny part is Christian and I met actually kind of through basketball. We met at On It, but there's this basketball court at On It. And someone who kind of knew us both had mentioned that I had played college basketball. And if you know Christian, you know he is a huge basketball fanatic, a big Lakers fan. And so it was like this instant connection of like, oh, you play basketball. And so it's something that we both have this huge passion in our hearts for. And I've taught 3rd grade. So I also love working with younger students and maybe some youth athletes. Christian does as well. And so we recently got this opportunity to work with the NBA, and specifically the Junior NBA like international app called Oklo. It's their junior MBA at-home program, and we do 7 days a week. We film the workouts in the comfort of our home from our iPhone, which is really cool, and that's been a huge blessing for us. So it's like getting to do what we love all bundled into one. It's the mobility and the body weight. It is the basketball drills, which are super fun for us. And then there's a journal prompt at the end, which has a special place in my heart, because I would do that with my kids when I was teaching too. Like first thing in the morning, we would have our journal prompt of the day, our gratitude journal entry. And so we finish out with that, and we finish out with some breathing. And then we're also in contact with this MBA Academy group through a WhatsApp text. And every week we film something, and it's all about our pillars. So 1 week was about nutrition, 1 week was about breath, one was about sleep and movement and mobility. And so it's just been the coolest thing ever, because it's like, man, everything we love in this one program. So we've been enjoying it. That's been like a blessing. And just to do it together has been really fun and a learning experience, but it's been awesome. So there's that. The 4-week program was launched because we're coming out with the Durable Athlete app soon, hopefully in like the next month or two. And so we're doing a lot of work on the back end to get ready to launch our own app, where it's really just movement and workouts every day, mobility and workouts. And then our pillars will be included in that as well. Trying to think of what else. I have a couple more things, sorry. Through the MBA Academy, I got a chance to do this workout. It was for this group called Girl Guiding. It was called Adventures at Home Festival, and it touches thousands of girls around the world. And I got to lead a workout on Zoom for ages 8 to 12, these young girls, alongside a WNBA player, which was super cool. So that was fun. And then last but not least, I haven't been on it since the gym closed early March, but they'll be open again. And On It has a special place in my heart. I love the community there. I love teaching classes there. And I've really enjoyed doing all of my free women's workouts. I was doing them once a month. And so I've missed doing that. But ultimately, once the gym opens back up and things get back to a little bit more of normal, I'll get back in there and I'll get back to that community and help just build a strong women's community at the On It gym.
So awesome. And I loved how you were saying the NBA gig is like everything that you could dream of. And what's so awesome is when you're following your passion, somehow everything just works out like that. It seems impossible to dream it, and then it happens and you're like, I have no idea how that happened, but it's pretty much everything that I wanted. That's how I feel about my coaching certification that I'm in, this podcast that Derek and I have just started. I'm just like, I don't know where this stuff comes from, but like when you are following your heart and like listening to your intuition and all of that, giving what you can to the world, just stuff gets set up for you. It's so awesome.
It is incredible. And I think that just goes back to like, even on the hard days, like continuing to put yourself out there and continuing to learn. I'm a huge believer in lifelong learning. I love learning and I love teaching. And so I, have always sought out certifications or books or people, whatever it is that I can learn from. And then I continue every day to try to just put value out into the world. And I think when you just continue to do that, it may not happen right away, but over time that'll get noticed by somebody, that'll get recognized, or if you keep pushing towards your goals, like they'll eventually come. And I think a lot of times we also lack the patience in realizing like when that will come, and you don't know. But yeah, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you're doing your best, then I think the same thing. Like you just end up in this place where like, how did this happen? Like, this is the dream. Like I'm living the dream, and maybe I still have other dreams, but to stop and stay in the moment is like something I've been working on too, because I feel like we all have the next thing. Like there's other things I would love doing. There's other dreams that I have, but I could honestly, like if you would have told me, hey, Natalie, you can get paid to do 30-minute workouts a day for the junior MBA, and they're going to be body weight, and you're going to have basketball drills, and you're going to talk about a journal prompt, and you're going to talk about like mindfulness practice and like all these things, I would have been like, what? Yes, I'll do that. So, to not get caught up in like, yes, there's so much more that we're working on and so many other things I want to do, but to come back to like, this is the dream. It is. Totally. Like, it's super cool.
And you deserve it. I'm so happy for you, Natalie, and I just wish you the continued success you deserve. In my eyes, you're already at the top, and I just can't see I'm just excited to see where else you're going to take this. But keep on winning. Keep on being you. So every hero has an origin story, and I know yours is really rich. There's a lot of elements in there. You grew up as a lifelong athlete. You've been a leader throughout your academic and your athletic career. You did your education degree. You played college basketball. So tell us how this all started, how this mission, this win, this dream, how did this manifest? Take us back to the roots.
Yeah, I like to go back to when I was a young kid, because I think I grew up in a very special place, and I'm sure a lot of people did, and maybe some people didn't, depending on how you view childhood. But I grew up in this like neighborhood, this park, where ultimately my parents met these other families, and there were kids that were my age. And so there were a couple girls that were like a year older than me. And then a lot of us had older brothers. And we had this neighborhood park. And so it was like, when I think back to childhood, I think about being outside all the time. I think about playing street hockey, and we played basketball, and we played soccer, and like anything. We'd be at the pool all day long. And so it was just a very safe little neighborhood that we had, with a really good community. And then we would go on trips with all these families. So we would go camping. Sometimes we would just camp in someone's backyard and build forts throughout the neighborhood. But it was like, when I think back to being a kid, like I always had shoes off, and I was always outside until my mom would come out and like blow a whistle, and I'd go home or something like that. And having that community of people, I think, is a part of the reason why I love community so much now. It was like I was always surrounded by friends and family, and I really enjoyed that. And for some reason, maybe it was having an older brother, maybe it was just my parents, whatever, but I gravitated towards sports at a young age. And I also gravitated towards kids. Like, I would wear my brother's clothes. I was the biggest tomboy. And I would also carry around my dolls and wanted to be like the mom all day, every day. I wanted to have a younger sibling. I loved kids. So from a young age, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach and coach. Like, I was like, I would love to still be doing something with sports, but I want to be a teacher, and I wanted to give back. And I always had that place in my heart for like volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club, things I would do, tutoring kids, babysitting kids. And so that was a strong passion of mine. And then with the sports, like you said, I played a little bit of college basketball. I played at University of Texas at Dallas before I transferred to Texas State. And that was amazing. I ultimately just decided to leave Dallas, because I was like, man, if I don't leave Dallas now, I will never leave Dallas, because Dallas is a big city and I know I'll get a job here. And then I would have never left Dallas. So I did leave. I went to like just south of Austin, the school called Texas State. And then I ended up, now I've been in Austin for like 8 years, and I love the Austin area. And, I was finishing my degree, and the last semester of college, if you're studying education, which is ultimately what I chose to go to school for, you do student teaching. So you work full time for free. Like, you're working, a regular teacher job, you're planning out the lessons, but you're not getting paid for it. It just counts as your internship for your last semester. And the group of friends I had at Texas State were really into health and wellness. And it was actually my neighbor. There were two guys, their names were Jack and Brett. They ended up opening up like a Nutri-Shop in town. And then Jack's family ended up opening up a gym in town. And these were the guys, along with other girls, but these were the guys who we would like go work out with a lot. Back in the day, I remember like counting macros with them, and we would plan out healthy meals, and we would all cook together, and we would go do active stuff together outside. And rather than me moving back to Dallas to do student teaching, which is actually what I wanted to do at the time, one of them convinced me to stay, because they wanted me to start coaching at the gym. They were like, we know you would be an amazing coach. Like, why don't you not teach? Why don't you coach? And I was like, well, I do spend a lot of my free time studying about fitness and nutrition. But this is crazy. Like, this is what I just went to school for. Like, so I made sure that I did my teaching certification test, got certified, but ultimately I ended up doing a bunch of other like fitness certifications at the time, so that I would be qualified to be a personal trainer. Then the gym they opened up, they turned into a CrossFit gym. So I did like CrossFit Kids certification, the Olympic lifting stuff. And I ended up running CrossFit Kids classes. I did a women's lifting class, called it Ladies Lifting at the time, and just really wanted to empower women to feel strong in their own bodies. And that's what resonated with me so much about CrossFit at the time, was community, going back to when I was a kid. And after sports, looking at fitness as like, what can my body do? Not just what can it look like, but like, what is my body capable of doing? I loved that. And so I was a trainer for 3 years or so. After about 2 years in San Marcos, I moved to Austin just because Austin is a little bit of a bigger city and I thought it would give me more opportunities. And long story short, the life of a trainer at the time, like where I was living versus where I was working when I moved to Austin, it was just a big stressor. Like it was very hard to get to work. You show up really early and no one shows up. You know, they cancel on you last minute. You stay really late. You work on weekends. If you aren't there, you're not getting paid. So going on vacation feels like a stressor. It was kind of life before all of the Instagram and online stuff was even big too. So it was just like, I don't know, you know, I loved it so much. But after those 3 years or so, I was like, maybe I'll teach. Like maybe I'll do what I originally wanted to do and I can coach on the side and I'll see how that goes. And so what I ended up doing was I just subbed in like 3 different school districts. I would sub and then I would coach in the evening. And then I like flip-flopped that. Well, I got a long-term subbing position for about a year. So I was still kind of doing both. And then that school offered me a full-time position. Once I was a full-time teacher, hats off to teachers, and I applaud them because it was insane and such a hard job. So I realized that I couldn't still coach like in the evenings. I had so much to do for school. So what I did though was take all the time that I had that was free and I put it into more education for myself when it came to health and fitness. So I did things like the precision nutrition certification. I got fascial stretch therapy certified. I was a very active member at Onnit, and I was taking all of the Onnit certifications and just a huge part of the Onnit community at the time. And so really what it was I was teaching, but in those 3 years, I went back to just being a student of health and wellness. And that ultimately just really led to the Onnit opportunity. I was at a Onnit certification, and our gym manager, Juan, at the time, you know, came up to me and just said, like, we know you've coached in the past. We see what you have going on right now. You're a huge part of our community. Like, you're taking these certifications. Like, why don't you coach again? And I was like, you know what? Like, I would love to. I was actually thinking about starting my own side business and just doing stuff over the summers. And he was like, yeah, we don't have a female coach. And like, you have the background, you have the passion, like you have the teaching experience, you have these certifications. Like, why don't you come work for us? And I remember thinking, like, at that time, I was like, this is dream job. Like, to work at Onnit and to be a full-time trainer, but with like a little more security and a little more comfort of just like the actual space, like building. I wasn't just working out of a garage gym that was hot or cold. Like, it had a place I could go sit down and eat my meal if I wanted to. Like, that was dream job. And so I've been at Onnit for the past 2 years. So I know that's like a long-winded story, but I think I want to share that because it's like, community has always been huge to me, and teaching is always ultimately what I wanted to do. And I really I go back to like helping people, but that's so vague, but that's always been like my goal was like, I just want to give back to others. And so when I learn all the things I learned, I'm like, there's no way I can go and just keep all these things to myself. Like, I have to share these with other people. And that's ultimately what I'm doing. And then Durable Athlete came about because Christian and I were dating. And I would say Christian has a stronger background when it comes to human movement and performance, just based on like what he studied in school and his experience at like a PT clinic. But I have that background of, I brought in a little bit more, or in my, like, I would kind of always talk about like the other elements of like, what about sleep and what about nutrition, you know, and all these other things I was really interested in. And I think it was this really good balance of both of us being so passionate about all of it and like learning from one another. And that ultimately set the foundation of the Durable Athlete, was both of our past experiences.
So cool. And I thought it was so interesting how right after school, you kind of jumped into, I mean, you're passionate about both health and wellness and fitness and then teaching, but you thought the traditional model would be, okay, I got to choose one or the other. I'm going to go to school for teaching. But then you kind of jumped back and forth a little bit, which is not usually what happens, right? Some people, like most people, for me, I went to school for mechanical engineering, and I did that for a year before I was like, I cannot do this anymore. But I think it was really cool that you kind of already after school was like, you defied that model so early on, and then you still kind of dabbled it in all, just because I think it's really important that, you know, you don't know what you're gonna like and what you're not gonna like until you try it. And so that was really cool that you kind of went back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, well, and when I was student teaching, I was like interning or working at the gym after I would get off from that. And so I would just say, like, looking back, I mean, I've always been a hard worker, but again, it was, I maybe didn't have that much free time, but it was like doing two things that I loved, but I was able to, as I was doing my internship and finishing up school, I was able to get a taste of coaching and what that would look like. And so it wasn't as scary. It was definitely scary, but I was like, I know I love doing this right now. And teaching, again, at least I got my certification at the time, took all the tests. I was like, if I want to go back to it, I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, I ultimately did. And that was a great learning experience too. Both of them have taught me how to be a better teacher and a better coach, and to communicate better and build better relationships and be a better leader, because you learn different things. Like if I was only studying about the human body, I don't know if I would be as good of a teacher if I hadn't have gone to school for education and learning about people's backgrounds and how to connect with them and how to communicate and build lesson plans and assess people and challenge them, but make them feel successful in a room where you have someone who's day one starting out for the first time, or like year 5, and they're still looking for a challenge. It's like, how do you give both of those people what they need? And you experience that in a classroom on an everyday basis. So I think that made me a better coach as well.
Totally. And I think, just for me, I did mechanical engineering, which I don't use a lot of what I learned, but I can look at the body as it moves in a certain way because I have that background. And I feel like a lot of people are either scared to take the leap into something new because they're not fully sure that it's what they want to do yet, or say somebody's super unhappy in their current job, but they don't know their passion yet, but they are semi-interested in something. Like, no matter what you do, you are going to learn so much from it. Like every single experience, you're going to learn how to be a better mentor. You're going to learn how to learn better. You're going to learn how to manage your time better, whatever it is. And so I think it goes back to a lot you were saying earlier, is just like taking each step, right? We're so limited by our fear a lot of the time that we won't even take that step and take the action to even start following what we might want to do. And so I think just learning that no matter what you try, and you're never locked into anything forever. So just try something that you might be interested in and take what you can from it, and then move on if it's not, what you want to be doing forever. And each thing that you try, it's like what Aubrey Marcus talks about in his Indepreneur thing. Like you're learning so many skills from each thing that you do, that just taking that step to do it and try it is so crucial, because so many people are just like, I'm scared. I don't want to jump into something when I don't know that it's like the safety net's there, right? So
100%.
So is that Christian back there? What's up, Christian?
Yeah, it is. He's about to go somewhere.
So, fear. Ty talked about fear, and you've had to encounter fear many steps along the way. Ty mentioned one where you had mentioned one where you left teaching to go into fitness. Another huge one that resonated with me is you leaving your hometown of Dallas, where you had everything going on. When you did your first university, you're an athlete there. Like you were set, and you had a nice little comfort zone in Dallas for you, and you stepped out and you left that. So there's fear associated there. So just talk about fear, some challenges you've had to overcome, and how have you pushed past fear, Natalie? And how do you continue?
Yeah, I think I definitely, experienced fear in different areas, but I also enjoy new challenges, and I like to be spontaneous sometimes. So I think some of those things have come from like, I find joy or fun in taking on something new and challenging, right? And so rather than like, I don't necessarily love just being in my comfort zone. There are certain things I think we all do where it's in our comfort zone, but I really enjoy like taking on a new task, or the times I've switched careers or gone for that, move, I left Dallas or whatever. Like I was always very excited for it. I never really felt like I was scared to do it. Now there's those thoughts in the back of your head of like, am I crazy for doing this? Is this the wrong choice? Like, but I think I just have to try to listen to my intuition as best as possible and just know that I'll be okay. I think that's something too, that at the end of the day, I'm like, somehow things usually work out, right? Like, at least they have so far. Things always work out, and you can always go back to this one thing, or, you know, shift and change. But yeah, like, why not just go for it and experience it? And if you completely fail, again, I just look at that as a failure. And I think, again, that comes from what I've learned and the things I've gone through to, like, for self-improvement, but also things that I try to teach other people. And again, these are clients, or this is when I was teaching 8-year-olds. It's like, I'm teaching them that failing is okay. I don't want to be a hypocrite, right? So, like, I want to go for the things that scare me, and I am going to do my best. And again, like I said, it usually works out, but if it doesn't, I guarantee I'll come up with the next thing and I'll learn from that experience. So there's really no such thing as failure. So although I think I get nervous for things, I wouldn't say I have a huge fear for them. I kind of embrace them, and I enjoy new challenges.
I loved what you said about, well, my computer froze. Just going for it, because as we just talked about, most people are just like, that's scary. I don't want to try. What if this happens? What if that happens? But whether it be working out and going for PR, or switching jobs, or I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's gonna change when you try it. What I always tell people, especially with like working out and trying for something, like, if you fail, you're just exactly where you started, you know? So
Yeah.
what's so scary? And you are never gonna know what you are capable of until you try. Most of the times, it's our mind that limits us and makes us think that we aren't capable of this thing. But when you try it, you're like, oh, I can do that. I never thought that that was possible, right? So I think it's so important to just realize that some things can be painful, but so much growth, so much more growth comes from when things are scary or painful or whatever. And if you never try, you're never going to know what you're capable of. You're never going to experience that growth, and you're never going to, like, change, right? You're just going to be in your comfort zone and just kind of in your bubble. But like, how much of the world is outside your current bubble? You have no idea. And if you don't push yourself to try to experience that, then it's kind of a bummer. There's so much to experience, right?
Yeah, I think that's where the fun is.
Exactly.
And like you said, the growth is. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage people to, even if you are scared or nervous, know that you'll be okay. Like, I promise you, you'll be okay. If anything else, you'll just learn from it, and then you'll be better for it. So
Exactly.
So Natalie, like, you're basically Wonder Woman in my eyes. Like it seems like there's nothing goes wrong. Like, everything is going good. Everything is going great. But we all come up against resistance. So what is something that, like, you do struggle with? Something that you feel resistance, like you don't want to do this workout, or I don't know, like you're just so on top of your sleep, nutrition, breath, movement. What challenges you these days, and how do you overcome that?
Oh man, you know, I do have a lot of struggles, but I think what I don't know where it comes from, honestly, either, but like, I think what I've always done is thought out self-improvement, I guess, like from as far back as I can remember. And one of the books that really stands out in my mind when I was going through some of the stuff in college was Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, and like being vulnerable. And I don't know, that book just for whatever reason kind of stands out to me, like putting myself out there a lot. But, you know, I've struggled with depression and hormone health and like struggles there, just figuring out like, why can't I stop crying every day and what's going on? Although I'm living this great life and I'm happy, and like stuff not aligning there. And what I think I use all of these tools myself, which again is why I want to share them with other people, because when I am feeling down or I'm feeling frustrated or something's not going my way, what do I want to do to make myself feel better? I don't know where this comes from, like why I do it versus why some people maybe don't, but like I'll go for that cold jump in Barton Springs in the morning. I will do my breath work, or I'll do my meditation. I'll do my gratitude journal. I'll go work out. Like, I'm trying to find ways so that I can get myself out of a funk, and so that I can continue to be healthy versus like just sitting and crying or something like that, right? If I'm having a bad day. And so I think it's through that experience of how these things have helped me that then I'm able to just like, that's why I want to share it with other people, because I've been there too. Like, I don't just wake up every morning and I'm like, today's a great day. I'm so happy. I'm going to go do all these things. Like some days I have rough days. Like I can think even back to, not that long ago, like working on it full time, but also putting in everything that I have to this company that I want to see grow as well. And something that will support me in the future if I decide to, like, I personally want to have kids and I would like to have more time at home once I have kids. And so I have to create something that would allow me to do that, right? And so I find that the durable athlete, to me, also opens up a lot of doors there of like doing more things online and having more control of my schedule. And so, I mean, I'd be at the gym from 6 a.m. until friggin' 7:30, 8 p.m. and I'm busy all day long. And then I'm working on the weekends. And if I'm not coaching a client at On It, I'm doing stuff for durable athlete. And there are periods of times where I stop and I'm like, what am I doing for fun? Nothing. Like, am I doing anything for fun? Now, I find my job fun. So I'm always enjoying it and I'm passionate about what I do. So I can do it like that day in and day out for a long time. But if I really stop and think like, what am I just doing that like makes me laugh and is fun? Like, am I being silly or anything like that? Like, I struggled for a while with that too. And so I would just say that, no, not everything is perfect, but all of these things help me feel better. So when I wake up in the morning and I go for my morning walk and I drink my water, or I jump in Barton Springs and I take time to do my reading in the morning and my mobility and my breath work or whatever it is, I feel like those are all like I can only control my attitude and my effort, right? And if I can at least try to shift my mindset into a better place by doing those things, I feel better about myself, and then I feel better. So like if I were to wake up and not do any of what I would call as like my morning routine stuff, like it would at this point make me feel a little more stressed and anxious. So then I have to work on that. Like if I don't get to my morning routine, I have to learn to be okay with that too. And so I don't know, I think it's just constant reflection, constant awareness about like what is making me feel good or bad, and am I doing things that are gonna make me feel better, or am I like feeding that fire of just feeling worse? And like I don't want to do that. So I think it's just, again, a lot of reflection and awareness to try to continue to be my best self. And like, I want to be healthy so that I can take care of myself, but also I like taking care of other people too. And I can only do that when I'm actually taking care of myself. And so I just take the hard days and say a little gratitude prayer for where I'm at. Like it's all perspective, right? I really try to change my perspective. I try to do things that are going to shift my perspective or my mood. And I keep going, so it's not always easy and it's not always perfect, but there are days and times where I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And that keeps me going too. So.
Wow. I just want to say that for the past hour, I think I've been doing this the whole time, nodding my head. This is amazing. First thing I wanted to talk about was how you said and I think this is what a lot of people deal with is, so many of us are so fortunate just in the fact that we have a house, food, running water, and all of that. And sometimes it feels almost like I go through this too. Like I feel guilty for having bad days because I'm like, my life is so great, but we are humans and we all deal with whatever we're dealing with, similar experiences as a collective we go through. And I think it's just very important to, as you said, like accept where you're at, because what you're feeling is your experience. Like even if you have a great life, you are still experiencing that feeling, and that's what's there for you. And if you make yourself feel worse about it, then what do you think is going to happen? Like you're going to feel even worse than you already do. So I think that was really cool that you said, no matter what, you still have hard days, and that's okay. And the only thing that you can control is how you go about your day, how you think, how you like what things you do that will get you to the best spot in that day. And even though some days, it's really, really hard and you only get to do your gratitude list and not all the other things, first of all, pretty much everything that you said is everything that I do to make myself feel better too. So, and Derek, I know too. And it's all, what's so awesome is most of it is all from within us, right? Breathing, meditating, journaling is all just us. And what I'm learning is all that I feel like I need, and this is not what I used to believe, but like everything that we need is within us. We just have to spend the time to be present with that person that we truly know ourselves to be, right? All these bad feelings, whether it be body image, whether it be, you know, feeling not worthy in another way, it's all things that we've learned, but that divine energy and that best self, that highest self person is who we were born to be and has just been buried throughout our lives. So just taking that time to the best of your ability, being compassionate for yourself when you're not fully able to feel the way that you know yourself to be, and that's okay. Like, as I said, we're all human. We can only do our best, and sometimes our best is like 50%, and that's okay. And just accepting that that's just the human experience, and realizing that everything passes. Like, you felt wonderful 2 days ago, and then you're feeling not the best, and you're like, fuck, I was feeling so good 2 days ago. Like, why am I like this? But it's like, okay, in 2 days, you're going to feel good again. So just focusing on that and just really practicing compassion for yourself, because life's hard sometimes, and that can be for absolutely no reason. And that's just how it goes. And know that it will get better. And as we talked about, you're going to be okay no matter what. And just doing what you know to the best of your ability will make you feel better is all you can really ask of yourself.
I love that. I agree. I think you said it, but like going within, and I think just in those times when you're like feeling sad or being really hard on yourself or in a funk, like, again, bringing awareness, that's like one thing I talk a lot about, but like a lot of times we know why we're feeling bad or in a funk, or and sometimes we don't, but I think like if you can address it and at least sit with it rather than running from it, right? Like that's helpful. And just kind of like let it pass through. And then, like I said, just do those things that you know do make you feel better. And even if they don't make you feel 100% better, like keep doing them. And I promise, I think a lot of those things will also kind of not be there as often, because now you're just taking care of yourself. You're, you know, maybe you're thinking about a little bit more about what you're putting into your body that affects your sleep. And then you're thinking about sleep, which affects your mood and your hunger cues. And then we're moving and we're getting outside, and like, again, it's all connected. So if you're not taking care of your body and you're not taking care of your mind, like you might be in a funk. And I think I have experienced, so if anybody else is feeling this way, where like I was doing what I thought was all the right things and I was still feeling in a funk. And then I started going to a therapist. And so that has helped me a lot. I found a couple other people in my life who have been a great support system. And I've also really, it comes down to more just self-acceptance and self-love and awareness as to like what's triggering me to feel a certain way. You know, am I like comparing myself? Was I having expectations? Like all those things can make us feel a certain way. And so I think that, again, seeking out people that can help in that way, like if you've already tried to do a lot on your own, is not a weakness either. It's just another tool in your tool belt.
Totally.
Yeah. And so we talk about tools on the tool belt, and I know you've accumulated a lot over the last year, like over your lifetime, really. And that has come from your various fitness trainings you've done, your education, your audit academy education, various mentors, various teachers. So tell us a bit about those. Like, who are some mentors and teachers you'd like to recognize that really helped get you to where you are, that have inspired you and empowered you on your path, Natalie?
Wow. Honestly, so many people. You know, I don't necessarily have one or two off the top of my head, but I can think back to, you know, my parents as a young one, all of my teachers and my coaches who pushed me and supported me. I wasn't always the best student or the best athlete, like, and I always had like a love for all of them though, and a special connection with them. And so I would say those are huge mentors to me. And what I decided to pursue as my career is because I myself like loved school. And again, it wasn't because I was like the nerd or anything in my school. Like I was often the kid that was talking too much, and the teacher would put my desk right next to their desk because I was talking too much to everyone in the class. But I still feel like I had a good connection with them. And so I would say all my teachers and past coaches. And then I think back to in San Marcos, like I was talking about my neighbors, Brett and Jack, who opened up the Nutri Shop and opened up the gym. huge thanks to them. They were a big part of my life at that time that shifted my career basically. So they helped me a lot, and I'm still in touch with them. They're still my good friends. And I met two people that I worked at Westlake CrossFit with when I moved to Austin. They have their own company now called Central Athlete, and they do like all individualized programming. But Jesse and Amanda O'Brien are some of my best friends, and I really, really respect what they do. And they have been great teachers and mentors to me along the way, great peers. Again, more coaches. And then, I can't not mention Onnit and Shane and John, and everyone just in the Onnit Academy system for really opening up my mind to the importance of durability and like how hard body weight training is. Like before I found Onnit, I was, I had done CrossFit. I had played all these sports. I had done like bodybuilding. I had done strongman. And then I found Onnit and I was like, why is this 5-pound steel club hard? Why are these body weight exercises killing me? Like, why is this harder than anything I've ever done? And why have I never seen any of this? So that was mind blowing to me, and opened up like this whole other world of what fitness could be, and really just health and wellness too, like within the Onnit total human optimization package, and Christian, my partner, like mentor there, and just a good peer to have. And I would just say, you guys, like anyone I come across who I feel like I learned something from, like that's going to be a great mentor. I've had a lot of other people in my life, but
that's great. So you've been a leader throughout your academic career, throughout your athletic career. You've always been a leader, Natalie. You were like a mediator when you were younger, a peer helper, a captain of all your teams. So what are your tips? How to be a good leader, how to be a good helper, and how to be a good mentor?
Yeah, that's funny. I think these things have come naturally to me for a long time, but I'm still going to speak to like tips I would give people, because again, from a young age, I was the peer mediator. So when kids didn't want to go to the counselor, like they would go to their peer mediators. I was one of those, like someone they could talk to. And then I was a peer helper in high school, and I would go to other schools and we would like have like buddies almost, and kids we would mentor there. And then when I was teaching, I was a part of our PLC, which is like our leadership group. And I was the team leader. Even in like those 3 years I was there, I was a team leader for 2 years. And so there is something obviously that people see in me that they would look to me as a leader, even if I don't see it myself, like being the captain of teams and being, quote, like the leader of a team. I really, really, like I don't take that lightly. It's something that means a lot to me to be in that position. But I can't say that I've ever like done anything out of the ordinary for me. But if I had to say the things that I think make me that leader, or what people would look to me as is like, hey, Natalie would be a great leader, I think I just connect well with people. I think when we talk about like emotional intelligence, so not just what but like how can you communicate with other people? I have always had it in my heart to like love anybody and everybody. Like I don't discriminate. Like everyone's kind of equal when I am friends with them or whoever it is. Like I try to be friends with everyone. Kind of, my mom has never met a stranger in her life, so maybe I get some of that from her. Like just friends with everyone. And I think in some ways I've always just been a hard worker too. So I think like in anything, if I'm working really hard and again, I'm showing up every day just to be my best self, like that is important. People want to see a leader who is leading the way by showing a good example, right? Like, so they get there early, or they put in their best work. They make sure everything is done how it should be, or they're being creative. They're pushing the boundaries. They're talking about things people don't want to talk about because they're scared to talk about them. Like, I don't know what it is, but those are things I naturally do. And then I think that I do it in a way where I don't make people feel bad for not doing it, but I like to like take people under my wing and help them get there as well. I like being a teacher. So I like, like lifting people up and getting them to be their best self. And so for other people, if I had any tips, it would just be to be a really good listener. And it would be to show up and just do your best every day. Because you can't control what other people are doing. Again, you can only control your attitude and your effort. And I think if you're just leading by example, that puts you in a better position to be a leader, right? Or a captain of a team is like, hey, they show up every day and they do their best, whether it's a good day or a bad day. right? And they're going to show everyone else respect and compassion and empathy and whatever. And so just setting that good example, to be kind to others and to work your ass off, really.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the ways you show up, Natalie, and we've talked about it all throughout the this episode, is your morning routine. And what we talked about with Christian, this starts with your unwind. Your new day starts with the way you unwind your day prior, right? And that was one of his challenges he left to us. And because of his challenge, I wrote my wind down routine, just put it right by my bed, just to remind me. I think whiteboards are such an easy thing to incorporate.
Yeah.
So maybe just talk to us a bit about how you unwind, and what are those crucial morning routines and just daily routines that you'd like to share with our audience on how you show up.
Yeah. I mean, mine might be similar to Christian since we share space. So we do a lot of, similar things that we kind of feed off of one another. But I would say if we're talking about like just evening routine, because getting good sleep is going to set us up for success in the morning, right? So if I can, I like to take a walk in the evening as well and kind of like watch the sunset, or at least be outside for sunset. Obviously, I've had a lot of jobs in the past where I'm indoors, I'm coaching classes during sunset. So it's not something I do on every day, but if I have the ability to, I would get outside for sunset as well. Okay, just to kind of like, hey, I'm going to basically get in touch with Mother Nature, and I'm going to realize like the sun is setting, it's evening time. And I have also been practicing just intermittent fasting in the sense of like, I don't eat too close to bedtime. So I would even throw that in there as part of my nighttime routine, is like making sure that I'm not eating too close to bedtime, because it'll really disrupt my sleep. And I can tell based on how I feel, but I also use the Aura Ring to track. So there's a lot of insight that I've gotten there. And I realize that has a big impact. So I would say like eating dinner at a decent time for me, getting outside for evening sun if possible. And then once we're inside, if we are on our computer or laptop or watching TV, we put the blue blockers on to make sure that we're blocking out artificial light. Yeah, super sexy blue blockers. No, I have some cool ones, but actually mine, I have a really cool pair from Lady Boss glasses. They're like a little more expensive than some others, but they're really neat. So I make sure that I put my blue blockers on, and really depending on the night, like there's definitely some breath work that happens. Sometimes I go into we have like one carpeted room, which has like our foam rollers, and that's usually where we stretch. And so sometimes I'll take some time just to decompress there. I used to use Headspace a lot. So again, in any way you can kind of think about breath work, like Headspace might work for you. You might meditate. Maybe you just go roll on the foam roller and do some mobility and focus on your breath. That's fine. And if you don't do any of that and you're just sitting on the couch, still focusing on using some like decompression breathing practices, or just trying to slow down your inhales, slow down your exhales. I know Christian and I both talk about like nasal breathing a lot, right? And just closing your mouth, breathing in and out through your nose. And so, yeah, even if you are, not specifically going to your room and or going to your mobility room and like meditating or anything like that, at least bringing awareness to how am I breathing? Am I still in this stress state? Am I still go, 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 go? Or am I winding down? And so I think like the sunset, or maybe for some people like evening tea, or like things you can do that are kind of like cues, like, hey, I'm done eating. I'm going to put my blue blockers on. Like all these things, naturally, like our brain understands that it's wind down time. And so that starts, again, maybe at like 5 p.m., even if you don't go to bed until 9. Like I'm going to start slowing things down a little bit. And I would just recommend also, like I have a cutoff time for when I'm going to check emails. Like I'm not going to check emails or check my phone past a certain time, depending on what time I'm going to bed. And I'm just a stickler for sticking to a bedtime, I would say routine, but just like a bedtime. So if I have to get up, at 5 or 6 a.m. or whatever it is, like I might go to bed at 8:30, and people might think that's crazy, but I know that I need to go to bed at 8:30 if I want to feel good the next day. And I have so much to do the next day. So I'm going to go to bed at 8:30. So like sticking to my bedtime, connecting with your loved ones if you are there. Like for me, it's my dog and it's Christian. So trying just sometimes to, not watch TV with him or anything like that, but we just cuddle sometimes. It is just like, let's talk about the day, or let's hang out for a little bit because I haven't seen you. So let's just kind of wind down. Yeah, that's kind of like a lot, but I would say on a nightly basis, those are still things that I do. Like, it's all cues for my body. Like even putting on comfortable clothes, putting on your pajamas, like showering and putting on your pajamas or something after a long day. Like again, that's just like, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to put my work away. I'm going to focus on, again, the present moment, here and now. Who am I sitting here with? If I am going to watch TV, maybe giving yourself a cutoff time and then trying to read before bed. I like reading my book before bed as much as I like reading it in the morning, so that I'm not just watching TV right up until the point that I go to sleep. So that would be a lot, but some of the things I do.
No, that's great. And we're talking about unwinding. So let's unwind this interview and let's slow things down. And what we are doing now, inspired by Christian again, is we meet Taha, and I have a couple last questions where we ask every guest. And before those questions now, we do a breathing exercise. And Christian led us through one. Would you like to lead us through kind of a centering exercise just to get us kind of in our heart space so we can just answer those final questions from Taha and Maya, just from the place of our greatest authenticity, just so that we can really let our inner light, our inner source shine with those answers?
Of course. I'll do one that I've really been enjoying lately. This is one that I've been doing at night, even when I get into bed, just to kind of chill out. So if you guys want to sit up, nice and tall, you can. If you want to close your eyes, you can. And I'll just explain it before we go through it. So you're going to breathe in and out through your nose. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 inhales through the nose at this cadence, right? So we're going to go, and then slow exhale through the nose. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And we're going to try to extend each exhale as long as we can, hopefully making each exhale longer than the one before. So 3 inhales through the nose, 1 slow exhale. And we'll do this 5 times together, okay?
Okay.
All right, ready? And inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, slow exhale, beautiful. 2 more times at your own pace. Beautiful. When you're done, just reset your breath and open up your eyes when you're ready.
Whoa, that was really cool.
You like that one?
Yeah. Wow, I've never done that.
Wow. I felt like, because sometimes I do breath work and my mind is still going all over the place, but I feel like I really had to focus to breathe slowly. So that was really cool.
Yeah. That one. Yeah, I feel like it changes it up just enough. And I think, I don't know what it is, but it keeps you really present. So I've been enjoying that one.
Wow.
Love it.
Taha.
Yes. Okay. Last few questions. First, I wanted to address just one thing that I really loved that you said on Eric's podcast when I was listening to it. I don't remember exactly what he asked, but maybe it was one rule to live by or something like that. But you said treat someone the way they want to be treated. And he thought you kind of messed that up a little bit, but you kind of clarified what that meant. And I think, I don't know, is that the golden rule? Treat someone the way you want to be treated? And most people would think that you kind of messed that up. And I definitely did. But once you explained it, I loved it a lot. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of explaining what you meant by that, that'd be awesome.
Definitely. So I think, like you said, the golden rule, which maybe we've all heard, is treat others the way they want to be treated. And
the way you want to be treated.
Now I'm messing it up. The golden one is treat others the way you want to be treated, right? Like if you don't want to be treated that way, don't treat someone else that way. Well, I call it the platinum rule, is treat others the way they want to be treated, right? And so this comes from, again, if I'm treating someone the way I want to be treated, that may not be the way that they want to be treated. And so it comes down to, that connection again in communication and truly listening to someone or getting to know someone well enough to understand what's going to work for them. And I think when you can treat others the way they want to be treated, then you're just opening up that relationship to so much more, no matter who it is, right? So if I know that you really like flowers, let's say, then maybe I'll bring you flowers on a special event. But if I really love flowers and you hate them and I bring you flowers, then you're not going to, that's not showing that I'm actually invested in who you are and what you enjoy. And so I think it's the same just as far as like the way people want to be treated. Like if you've ever heard of the love languages, right? We all have different love languages. And I think it's just about getting to know people enough so that you can better understand what makes them feel connected to you and loved or heard and understood. And when you can treat them the way they want to be treated, I just think that the world is a better place rather than thinking that everyone wants to be treated the same way that we view the world, right? And so, yeah, I think it just comes with better connection and deeper understanding of others.
So good. I love that so much. All right, last couple questions. To someone who has just taken the leap to leave the traditional career model and follow their passion, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
I think I'm going to go back to you can only control your attitude and effort. That's something that comes to me a lot. And it's something really that I remember reading from one of Alan Stein's books, who is also another mentor I could throw out there. But it's called Raise Your Game, and it talks about leadership there. But yeah, that part of the book really sticks out to me. And that's true. Like you're going to take on something new and challenging. You can only control how hard you work at that. So your effort behind it, right? And your attitude. You can't control if anybody else accepts it or hires you or not, or, likes your product or not. Like you have to be open to feedback. Yes. And from there, it's just about that continual progress to get better, be better, offer a better product, whatever that means, but keep a positive attitude and know that like you're not perfect and the journey is not going to look perfect either, but you just got to keep pushing, keep working hard.
Totally. Awesome. Okay. Last one for me. I love this question. In 3 words, how would you describe the experience you're having on this planet? Or phrase?
3 words to describe how my experience. I can only think of 2. Like I keep thinking just
That's
truly incredible, and then I would throw like yo in there, like truly incredible yo.
You want to know what Christian's was?
What?
His was fucking crazy, dude, or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I feel like mine would just be truly incredible, yo. Something like that. Like it's I can't,
Awesome.
can't explain it. So
Love it.
Let's hit a fast forward button, and now we're at your 85-year-old self. Who is the 85-year-old Natalie Higby, and what is the legacy you've left behind?
Oh my gosh, right now I just have this picture of the 85-year-old Natalie Higby like riding around on a bike outside somewhere and jumping in Barton Springs still every morning. I see these older people at Barton Springs and I'm like, that is going to be who I am. Like I want to be going to Barton Springs if I live in Austin for 50 years straight and like starting every day there. Doing some meditation, maybe like a drum circle, just a total hippie is Natalie at 85. That's what I hope for, and like exploring. And I hope to have friends and family around me, people that I love, and that's super meaningful to me. So that, and maybe like 10 more mambas because I want all the dogs in the world too. So.
Amazing.
I hope that I'm healthy, and I hope that I'm still doing all the things that I do now. Like I don't want to ever stop. I want to keep moving for as long as I live. So.
Right on. And what would that 85-year-old Natalie Higby riding around on her bike at Barton Springs, jumping into Barton Springs, what would that 85-year-old Natalie Higby tell the Natalie Higby right now?
I could almost cry thinking about it because it takes me back to when we were talking about just being so hard on yourself, right? And having self-limiting beliefs. And I think I would just tell myself that, like, to not be so hard on myself sometimes, and to let my light shine, to stay authentic and to keep doing my best and That's all I can do, so to just love myself and not be so hard on myself. That would be it. And just like, I feel like I am following my dream, so I would hope that I would say, like, good on you for continuing to follow your passion and continuing to help others. So
beautiful. And the last thing, Tyha and I really believe in the importance of challenges. And each week we ask a guest to give our listeners a 7-day challenge. And Christian's was wear your blue blockers at night and attend to your sleep wind down routine, which was really helped me. So what is yours? And other than, I have a bonus challenge for the listeners, and that's to go to durableathlete.com and get the 4-week body weight program and do that for 7 weeks. I'm going to be doing it for 4 weeks.
I will do that.
But what is another 7-week challenge you'd like to offer for our listeners, Natalie?
Oh yeah. So I'm going to kind of act as if Christian is paired with mine, because I do believe that those two things are important. So I'm going to continue to encourage people to wear their blue blockers and do their wind down routine. And I'll kind of sandwich that. The other bookend would be in the morning when you wake up, trying to get some sunlight in the morning. So I am a huge believer in like a morning walk, right? I really try to talk about the importance of getting outside in the morning and exposing yourself to natural sunlight. So I would encourage people to go on whether it's a 5 or a 10-minute walk, but get outside and take a stroll around your neighborhood in the morning. And to keep it really simple, I'm just going to encourage people to, I want to do something with nutrition. I'm thinking just like drink more water. So like, for example, I would drink a whole one of these first thing in the morning. I think a lot of people go straight to coffee, or they, drink a little bit of water and then maybe don't come back to it. So I would say, to start your day off right, let's make sure that we're drinking as much water as possible. And everyone might start at a different place, but let's drink water before anything else, and let's get some morning sunlight.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. So where could our listeners find you? I mentioned the durableathlete.com. Sign up for their 4-week body weight program. And there's going to be other programs there moving forward. Christian has, you guys have a strength and conditioning one, I believe, which is, I think, less than $10 and so worth it. Everything you and Christian put out, like, that's where I would send people. If you're into movement, mobility, like, you guys are who, like, I would send people to. I think you guys are at the top of the field. You're passionate about what you do. Durableathlete.com. I'm sending people there. Where else can they find you, Natalie?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Honestly, just I'm big on Instagram. I don't have a Twitter or anything like that. Facebook I have, but I don't post too much on it, so I'm there. But my Instagram, if you search Natalie Higby, you can find me. My handle though is nat.trill.fit, and that came about thinking about, one, keeping things trill. If you know what that means, is like keeping things real, and natural fit in my head, like if you say it, is like natural, right? Like, and I just want to be, I've never been the person to like put on like a show or be fake to others. And so that is kind of where that name comes from, is keeping it real and keeping things natural. So natural fit on Instagram, or the Durable Athlete. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this conversation. I learned so much from you. Literally, this time flew by, and I could probably talk to you guys forever. But just really appreciate you coming on here, and hope to hear more from you soon.
Absolutely. So to close, let's rise our fists in the air collectively and put our hands in. Welcome to the winner's circle. There's always room at this table. That's a choice. Step on up.
I love it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Bye.